Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling those tiny words, the ones you barely notice.
Oh, yeah.
Yet they have this, incredible power to absolutely dismantle the meaning of a whole sentence, turning clear ideas into, well, a linguistic puzzle. They're like spectral tripwires, aren't they? A real minefield for English learners.
Definitely a minefield.
Yep, we are diving deep into prepositions.
The big ones.
Think about it. You can spend years mastering really complex verb tenses, building this amazing vocabulary, getting your pronunciation just right.
All the hard stuff, you think.
Exactly. But then one single misplaced preposition, like saying you're in the bus instead of on the bus, and bam,
Yeah.
it instantly, almost unfairly, signals you as, well, not a native speaker.
It really stands out, doesn't it?
It does. It's like you've carefully built this magnificent skyscraper of English fluency only to, I don't know, use duct tape for the windows.
That's a good analogy. The structure's there, but...
But those tiny details just seem to undermine the whole thing.
And right at the heart of all this preposition panic are three little words that really form, well, we've called it the Bermuda Triangle of Confusion. NN, ON, and AT.
Ah, the big three.
Yeah. And it's frustrating because, on the surface, they seem so arbitrary. Why do you live in a city but on a street?
Right. Or why is a meeting at 3 p.m. but on Monday and then in July?
Exactly. For so many learners, the rules just feel, well, contradictory or endless, impossible to really get a feel for. You might even wonder why we say someone is on the internet but in an email. It seems random.
That's the perfect way to put it, yeah. So our mission today is clear. This isn't about giving you another huge list of rules to just memorize.
And then forget 5 minutes later.
Precisely. This deep dive is about unlocking the core logic of these prepositions.
Getting underneath it all.
We're going to reveal a surprisingly simple, actually quite visual system that governs how they're used, and it lines up surprisingly well with how our brains naturally process space.
Which makes it much easier to grasp, ultimately.
The goal is to help you sort of rewire your brain, moving you from constantly guessing to actually feeling which preposition is right. Like a native speaker does.
Building that intuition.
Let's unlock this.
Okay.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Why are prepositions just so incredibly difficult in the first place? They're such tiny words.
It's a great question. And the answer, I think, really lies in a common trap learners fall into.
Which is?
Well, most people approach prepositions like they're just vocabulary words. They try to do a one-to-one translation from their own language.
Okay. Makes sense.
But prepositions aren't really about direct translation. They're fundamentally about relationship.
Relationships, like
Yeah.
spatial.
Exactly. Spatial and temporal relationships, mostly.
Yeah.
They show how a noun relates to something else in the sentence. A native speaker doesn't consciously access some kind of, mental rule book when they say on Monday.
Right, it just sounds right.
It just feels right. They have this deeply ingrained subconscious, spatial, and sort of conceptual intuition. Their brain has just absorbed the underlying pattern over years.
That's fascinating. So our goal here is to help you build that same kind of intuition.
Right.
And to do that, we need to maybe ditch those random rules we've all tried to memorize.
The endless lists.
Yeah, and embrace a new, more intuitive model. We like to call it the pyramid of logic.
Okay, I like the sound of that.
So picture a pyramid, right? At the very base, the widest part, the foundation, that's what we call the core physical and visual logic.
The bedrock.
Exactly. This is the absolute foundation, and it taps into how your brain naturally understands space around you. The main meanings of IN, ON, and AT are all based on incredibly simple visual concepts. A container, a surface, and a point.
Container, surface, point. Got it.
Think of it like this. A container is sort of a three-dimensional space you're in. A surface is like a two-dimensional plane you're on. And a point is like a zero-dimensional marker, a precise spot you're at.
Okay, that's clear. 3D, 2D, 0D.
And here's the kicker. If you can really nail this visual logic, you've basically solved about 80% of the problem right there.
Wow, 80%. That's huge.
It is, because most other uses kind of flow naturally from this core idea.
Okay, so what's above the base?
Right. Moving up to the middle of the pyramid, this is where that core logic extends, often as a kind of metaphor, into non-physical things.
Like time.
Exactly like time and other abstract ideas. So a year, for instance, is treated like a big container that you are in.
Okay, I see. Like you're inside the year 2024.
Precisely. And a specific day, that's treated like a flat surface you're on.
Like on Monday. The calendar page is flat.
You got it. And a precise time, like 3 p.m., That's treated like a distinct point you are at.
At 3 p.m., a specific point on the clock face. Yeah, it's actually pretty elegant when you put it that way.
Isn't it? Then right at the very peak, the smallest part of the pyramid, this is where you find the truly fixed expressions, the idioms, the genuine
The ones
exceptions.
you just have to learn.
Pretty much. Things like on purpose or at last. This is the only part that really needs some dedicated memorization. But the fantastic news is it's the smallest category.
So understanding the base and middle makes the peak much less daunting.
Hugely. It dramatically cuts down the sheer volume of stuff you need to just rote memorize.
Exactly. And that's why we're going to spend most of our time today really digging into that base of the pyramid, that core visual logic.
Makes sense. Get the foundation solid.
Because once it truly clicks for you, once you start seeing the world and time through this lens, dot, container, surface point, everything else will start to fall into place. It's a real game changer.
All right, so let's clear our minds of any old, confusing rules that might be floating around. For this next bit, when you're trying to pick between IN, and AT for place, the main question you should always ask yourself, based on our pyramid, is, am I talking about a container, a surface, or a point?
Perfect starting point. Let's dive into IN, the concept of containment.
Okay. In N equals container.
Right. Think of EN as meaning inside or within some kind of boundary. The key idea is a three-dimensional space that surrounds something.
Like being inside a box.
Exactly. The core visual for IN should always be, imagine a ball in a box. The ball is contained within those boundaries. This applies to obvious enclosed physical spaces like in a room, in a house,
Yeah.
in a box.
Okay, easy enough.
Your keys are in your pocket because your pocket is a container, right?
Yep.
It also works for small, private vehicles where you're sitting inside, like in a car, in a taxi.
Yeah.
You don't have much freedom of movement. You're contained within that small space.
Ah, that's a key difference later, I bet.
It is.
Yeah.
And then geographical areas would define borders, like in Paris and California and Europe. They're conceptualized as giant containers.
Even though they're huge.
Even though they're huge, they have boundaries.
Mhm.
Same for bodies of water. You swim in the lake, in the ocean. The water acts as a 3D container around you. And this even extends to information itself. Content is in the newspaper, in this book, in the photograph, because it's contained within the pages of the file or the frame.
Right, the information is inside it.
So the simple test for IN is, can you mentally draw a circle or a box around it? Are you talking about the space inside something? If yes, your preposition is probably IN.
That visual really does simplify so many uses that felt random before.
Okay, so if it's not a container, what's next? We've got surface, right?
That's right. Next up is on-in, the concept of a surface. Here, think of on-in as meaning in contact with and supported by a surface.
Okay, contact and support.
Exactly. The key idea is a two-dimensional plane or maybe a line. Gravity is often involved. Something is resting on top of something else.
Like the classic book on the table.
Precisely. The core visual for on is, imagine a book on a table. The book is physically touching the surface of the table. This works for horizontal surfaces, like the keys are on the table, and vertical ones, the map is on the wall.
If you spilled coffee, it's on the surface. Now, this is where that in a car versus on a bus thing makes perfect sense.
Oh, here we go.
For large public vehicles, you're generally on a bus, on a train, on a plane, or on a ship. Why?
Because you can walk around, like a platform.
Exactly. The logic is that these are large vehicles where you can stand up and walk around. You're on a large moving platform or surface. It's different from being enclosed in a car.
That makes so much more sense now.
Floors of a building are also treated as surfaces, so your office is on the third floor.
Right.
Linear features, too, like my house is on Elm Street or
Mm-hmm.
the town is located on the river. They're treated like lines on a map, a kind of 1D surface, if you will.
Okay, streets, rivers.
And importantly for today, digital communication and media platforms are also seen as surfaces. I saw the news on the internet.
Mm.
What's on TV tonight? You're accessing content on that platform.
Like Instagram, YouTube, all on a men.
All N. So the litmus test for N is the object touching a surface? Is it supported by something? Is it located on a line or a digital platform? If yes, the preposition is probably on N.
Okay, I can really feel that intuition starting to build now. Containers, surfaces. So what about those really specific spots, the exact markers?
Exactly. That brings us to our third one, AT, the concept of a specific point.
AT equals point, 0 dimensions.
Got it. Think of AT as a precise location, like putting a pin on a map. It doesn't have the dimensions of a container or a surface. It refers to a specific singular spot or sometimes a general vicinity that serves a particular function.
Like a meeting point.
Exactly. The core visual for AT could be, imagine a person waiting at a bus stop. The bus stop isn't really a container you're in, nor is it a surface you're on in the same way as a table. It's a specific, unique point on a route or map.
Okay.
This applies to specific addresses. I live at 123 Elm Street, or very precise locations.
Yeah.
Let's meet at the main entrance. She's waiting for you at the corner at the bus stop.
Addresses and entrances, got it.
It also covers general vicinity and public places or buildings when you're thinking about their function or purpose. You're at the library, the place for studying, or at the airport, the place for catching flights.
So it's not necessarily inside, but at the place for the activity.
That's a key aspect of AT. Also, events. You're at a party, at a concert, at the meeting. These are points in space and time where people gather.
Okay.
And finally, it could be a specific point within a larger space, like someone is at the door or please sign at the bottom of the page, a precise point.
Right at the bottom.
So the test for AT, are you talking about a specific point on a map, like an address, or a general location for an activity or its purpose? Are you meeting there? Is it a point of function? If yes, then AT is usually your preposition.
Okay, so let's quickly recap this for place. In is for a container, on is for a surface, and AT is for a point.
This is summarized.
So you're in London, big container, on Oxford Street, surface line, and at Selfridges, functional point address, or maybe in a car, small container, on a bus, large platform surface, and waiting at the bus stop, specific point.
Perfect examples. It starts to feel logical, right?
It really does, much less random. So the really fascinating part you mentioned, this applies to time, too.
Yes. And this is where it gets, I think, really elegant.
Yeah.
This exact same logic, containers, surfaces, points, applies beautifully to the abstract concept of time.
Okay, show me the magic trick.
All right. So for era n in time, we're talking about containers of time. These are the larger, often non-specific periods.
Like years and months.
Exactly. Months in January, seasons in summer, years in 1999, decades in the 1980s, centuries in the 18th century. You're metaphorically inside this block of time.
Right, you're contained within that period.
Also works for general time periods like in the past or in the future, and significantly parts of the day like in the morning, in the afternoon, and the evening.
Okay. Except night.
We'll get to night. Yeah, but for these broader chunks, it's IN. So my birthday is in October.
Got it. Container of time. What about on, surface of time?
Exactly. We use on for time, for surfaces of time. Think specific days and dates.
Like points on a calendar page?
That's the perfect visual. They're like specific points or squares on the flat surface of a calendar.
Okay.
So days of the week on Sunday, specific dates on April 1st, on December 25th, or specific named days on my birthday, on New Year's Eve.
Okay. Days and dates.
Even a specific day plus a part of the day, like on Tuesday morning. It takes on, because the main reference point is the day, the surface.
Right, the day is dominant, so the meeting is on Wednesday.
Perfect. And finally,
I see.
AT for time.
Yeah.
This signifies points in time.
The really precise moments.
Exactly, like a tiny pinprick on the timeline. This covers clock times at 3 p.m., at 10:30 a.m., specific moments or meal times at noon, at midnight, at lunchtime.
Clock times, meal times, makes sense.
And holiday periods when you mean the general celebration time, like at Christmas or at Easter. This is slightly different from on Christmas Day, which is that specific date, that surface.
Subtle difference. AT for the general period, on N for the specific day.
Right. Now, the question you hinted at, why at night instead of in the night, it's a bit of an exception, but night is often conceptualized differently from morning, afternoon, evening. It's seen more as a specific point or period of darkness contrasting with the day. So we use AT.
Okay, so at night is just one to remember, but it fits the point in time idea generally. So the movie starts at 9:15 p.m.
Exactly. Point in time.
Wow. So whether we're talking space or time, it really does boil down to IN for containers, on N for surfaces, and AT for points. That's incredibly consistent.
It really is. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you'll see these core concepts pop up, even metaphorically, when we talk about abstract ideas.
Okay, like how?
Well, think about IN for metaphorical containers.
Yeah.
Being in danger, in a good mood, in my opinion, in debt, in writing. You're sort of inside that state or condition or form.
Right, contained by the mood or the danger.
And on AN for metaphorical surfaces. It often implies being engaged in something or supported by a system, like being on a platform. Think on fire, on display, on duty, on the computer, on the phone, on schedule.
Okay, active on a platform or surface.
And AT for metaphorical points. This often relates to a specific level, rate, or state, like being good at something at risk, traveling at 100 kilometers at least, at fault. It refers to a specific point or level.
So the core logic really does stretch quite far.
It provides a really strong foundation for understanding, even when things aren't physical.
Okay, this feels much clearer now than just trying to memorize endless rules, but what about those specific pairs that always trip learners up? The real battlegrounds, as we call them.
Ah, yes, the tricky pairs.
I know I've stumbled over these myself countless times. Let's try and tackle those head-on using this container surface point logic.
Let's do it. Where should we start?
First up, the classic "and a car" versus "on a bus train plane." Feels like ground zero for preposition confusion, right? Both are vehicles, so why the difference?
It comes right back to the type of space our container versus surface logic.
Yeah.
When you're in a car or in a taxi, think about it. You're in a small, private, enclosed space. Container. You generally sit down. You can't really stand up or walk around.
Right, you're contained.
But when you're on a bus, on a train, on a plane, on a ship, these are typically large, often public vehicles. You can usually stand up, walk around. You're essentially on a large, moving platform or surface.
That visual distinction is key.
Absolutely. And the easy rule of thumb we sometimes use is if you generally have to bend down or duck your head to get in, you're probably in it.
Yeah.
If you can walk onto it standing upright, you're probably on it.
Huh. I like that. Very practical. Okay, next battle. At the corner versus on the corner. Both get used, but they mean slightly different things, don't they?
They do. And it's a classic point versus surface distinction again. At the corner usually refers to the corner as a general meeting point, the intersection itself. It's the specific point where two streets meet.
Like, let's meet at the corner of Main and Elm. The point.
Exactly. Whereas on the corner refers to a building or an object that is physically located on the surface of that piece of land at the corner.
There's a great coffee shop on the corner. It's sitting on the land.
Precisely. So
Yeah.
AT for the meeting point or intersection, on N for the physical structure resting on that surface.
Okay, clear. Here's another tricky one. At the library versus in the library. Both sound right sometimes, which is really confusing.
Yeah, this one depends a lot on your focus or intention. At the library is often more common when you're talking about the library as a functional place, a general location for doing library things, studying, borrowing books.
So you might be inside or outside, but you're there for the library's purpose.
Right. I spent the afternoon at the library. It emphasizes the function. In the library, on the other hand, specifically emphasizes that you are physically inside the building. Maybe you're stressing the location itself or seeking shelter.
Like, it was pouring rain, so we waited in the library. Focus on being inside.
Exactly. So AT often links to function purpose, while EN emphasizes physical containment.
Got it. How about on time versus in time? These are fixed expressions, but easily mixed up.
Absolutely. And again, it's point in time versus a container of time. On high means punctual, exactly at the scheduled time. It refers to that specific point on the clock.
The train arrived on time, bang on schedule, a point.
Exactly. In time, however, means before the deadline, or with enough time to spare. You arrive within the available container of time before something happens.
We got to the cinema in time to buy popcorn. Not late, within the time window.
Perfect. So on-hand time, punctual, point and point. In time, not too late, container.
Okay, one more common battleground. At the end versus in the end. These sound similar but mean very different things.
Very different. At the end of something refers to the physical or temporal endpoint of a specific thing, the final point.
Like there's a quiz at the end of the chapter, or pay at the end of your trip, the final point of that specific thing.
Right. You can usually add of something after it. In the end, however, is an idiom. It means finally or ultimately or after considering everything. It refers to a final result or conclusion after some process or discussion.
We argued a lot, but in the end, we reached an agreement. The final outcome.
Exactly. So the rule of thumb, if you can add of something, it's probably AT. If it means finally or ultimately, it's an in.
That clarifies so many common points of confusion just by applying that core logic. Container, surface, point.
It's surprisingly powerful, isn't it?
Hmm.
And while AN, or, and AT are definitely the big three hurdles, really getting this logic helps with other prepositions too.
Oh, how so?
Well, think about prepositions of movement, like through. When you walk through a forest, you're moving from one side to the other inside a 3D container, the forest.
Ah, right, inside a container, but moving.
Or across. When you swim across a river, you're moving from one side of a surface, the river surface, to the other.
Service movement. Yeah, I see how the basic concepts help.
So even with other prepositions, having that core visual understanding of space containers and surfaces gives you a much better intuitive starting point.
Okay, so understanding the theory, this pyramid of logic, is obviously the crucial first step. But how do you actually make this automatic? How do you get it into your subconscious, like a native speaker?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Practice, but smart practice.
Right. So for you, the listener, here's a kind of action plan to really internalize this system. What should they do?
Well, first, I'd say become an active noticer.
Active noticer. What do you mean?
Don't just let prepositions wash over you when you're reading or listening anymore. Pause, just for a split second, and ask yourself, why did they use that one? Does it fit the container surface point idea?
Consciously connecting it to the logic.
Exactly. That active questioning starts to hardwire the patterns.
Okay, what else?
Second, learn in chunks, not isolated words. Stop trying to just memorize on.
Like a dictionary definition.
Right. Instead, learn on the table, on Monday, on the internet. When you learn a new noun like airport, don't just learn the word, learn the chunk. Arrive at the airport.
Learn the noun and its typical preposition partner.
Yes, contextual learning is way more effective for prepositions.
Makes sense.
Third, describe your world. Make it a little game. Wherever
Uh-huh.
you are, just start describing your surroundings to yourself, maybe even out loud if you can, specifically focusing on the prepositions. My laptop is on my desk. My desk is in my office. I am sitting at my desk. There's a fly on the ceiling.
Yeah. Constant low stakes practice.
Exactly. It makes that visual logic, container, surface, point second nature.
Okay, good one. Fourth,
Use targeted quizzes. Don't just do random grammar exercises. Find quizzes specifically designed to test IN, AN, and AT for time and place.
focus the practice.
And here's the important part. For every mistake you make, force yourself to explain why the correct answer is right, using the logic we've talked about today. Oh, it's on Monday, because Monday is a day, a surface on the calendar.
Learn from the mistakes actively.
Precisely. And finally, number 5, write and get corrected.
Gotta produce the language.
You have to. Theory is great, but you need to use it. Write short paragraphs, describe your day, your town, your job. Then share it with a native speaker, a teacher, a language partner, and specifically ask them to check your prepositions.
And see those corrections as learning opportunities.
Golden learning opportunities.
Yeah.
Don't be embarrassed. Each correction refines your intuition.
That's a solid plan. Notice, learn chunks, describe, quiz, and write.
And remember, through all this, it's a process. You're building intuition, maybe from scratch. You will still make mistakes. That's totally okay.
Yeah, perfection isn't the immediate goal.
Not at all. The goal is to move from, say, a 50% chance of guessing correctly to 80%, then 90%, then maybe 95% certainty, because you understand the underlying system. You just need to trust the process and be patient with yourself.
So, wrapping this up, prepositions. They aren't these chaotic, random enemies they might seem like.
Not at all.
They are actually a system of quite beautiful visual logic that gives English its texture and precision. The frustration just comes from trying to tackle them with the wrong tools.
Like brute force memorization or trying to directly translate. Those don't work well here.
Yeah. The key to really mastering them lies in this paradigm shift you talked about.
Right. Moving away from just memorizing rules and towards truly understanding the relationships they express.
Container, surface, point.
By embracing that core logic, containers, IN, surfaces, on, and points, AT, you build this powerful intuitive foundation. You start to understand not just what preposition to use, but deep down, why it's the right choice.
And that journey transforms prepositions from being, a source of anxiety into more like a puzzle you actually know how to solve. It moves them from that annoying conscious calculation
Agonizing over which one.
to the effortless realm of just subconscious feeling. It just sounds right.
That's the goal. So the next time you hesitate over EN, AN, or AT, take a breath. Don't frantically search for a rule in your memory. Instead, just look at the situation, whether it's space or time, through this new lens.
Ask yourself that simple question. Is it a container? Is it a surface? Or is it a point? Because in that simple question really lies the key to unlocking the code, to taming these tiny but powerful words.
And making progress.
And to finally making your English sound as natural and as fluent as you've always wanted it to be.
Absolutely.
That's all for this deep dive. We look forward to having you join us for another one very soon.